Hello and welcome to The Fourth Wave, a podcast named after the fourth wave of feminism that aims to inspire, empower, inform, and celebrate the woman of today. Each episode, we will give you strategies and ideas for living a life as your most empowered self. This week, we will talk about the idea of self-nurture, why it's so important to take care of your sexual health, and a trick that always leaves us feeling powerful and able to take on the day. I'm Mirtha Michelle, a best-selling author and poet. I am your host and co-founder of The Fourth Wave, and I'm here in Los Angeles alongside co-founder and one of my best friends, Jamie Barada.
That's me, Jamie Barada, an entertainment and fashion attorney living in Los Angeles. Mirtha, I have to tell you, I love our new website. It's been so exciting to have a real destination where followers and listeners can come to for information that hopefully inspires them.
Yeah, I know. It's very exciting. Plus, guys, it's very, very feminine.
So if you haven't been there yet, it's www.theivywave.com. And you can go, and every week we post about, what's going on, social issues. We recap our podcast.
And we feature a wavy woman every week, a woman that we find inspiring and empowering.
Yes, definitely. So we love to hear from you, and we love to hear things that help our listeners feel a sense of empowerment in their daily lives, things that work for them and hopefully can work for you too. So on our last episode, we covered ways to get over a breakup, and Alana wrote in sharing some ways she gets over a breakup that I actually think are really important ways that we can incorporate into our daily lives as well. So I'm going to share what Alana wrote in. She wrote in by commenting on our Instagram page. And she said, "Lately, I've spent a lot of time being gentle with myself. Cook a nice meal, make a warm bubble bath with candles and soothing music, draw and write my feelings, anything I can do to nurture myself. I'm not always the best at articulating my feelings to people when I'm hurt, so reflecting and drawing them out has helped me out a lot as well. Also, surrounding myself with healing tools such as beautiful plants, flowers, romance books, and healing stones."
I love this idea about being gentle with yourself. I think so many times we take times to be gentle with other people,
right?
And we forget to nurture ourselves. I personally do this a lot. I love taking baths. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I actually take more baths than I take showers. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily with the bubble bath all the time, but I love just taking those 30, 40 minutes aside of in a day and just nurturing myself.
Yeah, it's so important.
And lighting candles. I'm a huge candle lover. I love doing those body scrubs. Mm-hmm. Your skin feels so good after that.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different ways of nurturing ourselves, of taking care of ourselves. And like you said, I love this idea, like the way she kind of coined it, being gentle with myself. Because you're right, it's not how you talk about treating yourself usually, right? It's like how you are with other people or babies or delicate situations.
People feel guilty. Sometimes people, especially I know of sometimes I hear of a lot of women, especially when they have kids, they feel guilty when they take some time to pamper themselves,
right?
To go get a massage. It's like, you are a human being. You deserve this. When you work all the time and you have all these people that you have responsibility for,
right?
You have to take that time for yourself just to stay sane, in my opinion.
Especially when the majority of your day is, standing up for yourself, asserting yourself, kind of having to overcompensate and, get that respect or whatever it is you're trying to get from any situation in your life. It's nice to kind of just take down that guard when you get home and just do something for yourself.
And then you end up waking up the next day so much more stronger and powerful. I know, for example, yesterday I did my usual mask situation. I try to apply masks at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I had been feeling like my skin was really dry, and I did that for myself. I took a bath. I applied my masks. I had my little beauty moment. And this morning I woke up and I was like, my skin is feeling so much better.
Right.
It immediately made me happier just to see that my skin wasn't as dry as it had been in the last couple of weeks. So I do think that every time that we do take the time to be gentle with ourselves and nurture ourselves, it creates a sense of even love,
Self-love.
and self-love.
Yeah.
So I think that's necessarily that's definitely something that maybe our listeners would take pleasure in as well.
Right.
And if you guys do it, let us know.
Yeah,
how
I mean,
you feel.
it can be, it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever you want it to be. An hour out of your day, like one thing, like you putting on a facial mask. You can do an experiment, do a whole week of just being gentle with yourself, whatever works for you. So let us know if you tried this at home. Take a day, a night, a week, whatever works for you. And let us know if you feel that being gentle with yourself helps you feel empowered. You can get in touch with us on Twitter at the Ivy Wave, or drop us a line at info@theivywave.com. Or, of course, you can go to our website, www.theivywave.com, for our contact info, links, and everything else related to this podcast.
Yes, we would love to hear from you and hear your tips as well. I'm always open for new information. Okay, so this week we want to touch on the importance of another type of self-care, taking care of your sexual health. Yes.
So, Martha, what, I guess, let's like in the timeline of our lives of being,
My very short young life.
I guess
In my mind, guys, I'm still 23.
she's not. When did you first start taking care of your sexual health? Like, when was it brought to your attention that it was time to, be aware of how to take care of yourself as a woman?
I was actually a bit of a late bloomer when it came to having sex. I was the youngest one growing up in my high school class. So I was kind of a little behind on everything. I was the last person to get their license. I was the last person to be able to get into a club. I was the last. I grew up in Miami, guys. Clubs were normal when you were 18, when you were a teenager. But I actually, when I first moved to LA, I was I think 21, and I was 21, 22, something like that, and it's a little embarrassing that I'm really talking about this, but here it goes. I got a yeast infection, and I had no idea what to do. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? If you've ever had a yeast infection, it is an extremely uncomfortable feeling.
Right.
Especially if you have no idea how you got the yeast infection and you start even feeling a little guilty. You're like,
Right. Or if it's your first time having anything, you have no idea what's going on.
You have no idea what's going on. And here I am. I'm like living in Los Angeles. I'm far away from home. It's not
Right.
like I don't even know like what doctor to go to. I knew about maybe 10 people in Los Angeles in total. And none of them were doctors. They were all artists.
Right.
So I didn't, I was afraid to call my mom. I grew up in a very conservative household. My mom and I were very close. We speak every day, but we don't really talk about sex and stuff like that. It was never that type of conversation between us. And I think it's just because of the way I was raised that it's like, oh, you're not supposed to have sex until you're married. So I was still, I guess, pretending to be a virgin. And I didn't know what to tell my mom, so I remember just drinking so much water, because I Googled
At least
that
you knew
was something really good for yeast infections. I drank so much water, and back then, you couldn't just go and get medication over the counter.
Really? I wonder when that started.
It started right after that. started right after that. But my roommate at the time told me, Mirtha, go to Planned Parenthood. She actually took me to Planned Parenthood. I'm a huge Planned Parenthood supporter, by the way.
100%.
Because Planned Parenthood has literally saved my life in so many occasions. People have no idea.
It saves so many people's lives, right?
So many lives. So she took me to Planned Parenthood, and it was like an entire new world of information was available for me and was open for me. The nurses there were so kind, and they taught me so much. First of all, they explained to me, when you have sex, you have to go and pee right after, or you have to wash yourself to prevent any kind of yeast infections,
or
UTIs,
any kind of infection, right?
or any kind of vaginal infection. And it's not that, oh my God, you're being, a hoe or something. It's just like, that is just like how our body works.
Right.
You need to do that after, but I had no clue.
Right.
So that was sort of my first experience of understanding how important it was for me to really take care of my body and be aware of like my sexual health. And after that, I became an extreme. I'm a little extreme sometimes. Then after that, I went, to get my PAPs, and then I went to go get this.
Right. Which is also very important.
Very important.
You're supposed to do that once a year.
Now I think it's once every 2 years.
Oh, really?
Back then it was once a year, but
By the way, we're not that old. You keep saying back then. And also, guys, there was no internet around, so
no, there was internet. There just wasn't social media. But
I'm just kidding.
what did we have? MySpace?
Yeah.
Anyhow, that was my first experience, and I'm a huge supporter of Planned Parenthood, and I actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast was to give information like this, because
Right.
when I was growing up, I didn't have anyone to talk to about these things, and I felt that could have avoided a lot of my mistakes in my
Yeah.
early 20s.
Totally. If you had something like
If
this,
I had
to
something like
listen
this
to,
that I could listen to and get
Or write
advice,
into.
or write into and ask questions. So guys, if you have any kind of questions, if we don't know the answer, we will find the answer for you.
Right, or we'll bring in someone who does know the answer.
Or we will bring in someone that is an expert at it.
Well, I think I love that. We grew up, I think, very similarly. I didn't grow up with so much of the religious background, but I'm also very close with my parents. We talk about everything except for
Sex.
yeah, things like that.
I think it's very common.
yeah.
It's very common.
I was lucky that I had older sisters, but I didn't really go to them either to talk to, because they were kind of like in
My sister got
face about
pregnant,
it.
so she obviously wasn't too smart about what she was doing contraceptively.
My sister, how much older are your sisters?
My sister is 4 years older than
yeah.
me.
Yeah, mine's 10. Like they're 10.
That
years
was the
older.
one thing I did learn in high school, though.
From their mistakes.
Well, no, but I learned the moment you decide you want to have sex,
Yeah.
use a condom.
Right.
Prevent STDs, and you do not want to get pregnant. To be honest, I was always more afraid of the getting pregnant part, just because I've always wanted to accomplish so many things.
Yeah.
And I always felt that a baby would
For sure. Make it a little bit more
make
difficult.
it more difficult. So I was always extremely afraid of getting pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of goes to, I guess, my story of when I started, really taking care of my sexual health. And, I was in my early 20s, same thing. And I think I was living here at the time, not New York, but, I had been to gynecologists, I had been to Planned Parenthood. I was aware of certain things, but still when you're younger, you don't always prioritize yourself first.
You think you're invincible.
Yeah.
You think it won't happen to you.
Yeah. And we are very, very fragile and require so much self-care. So, I had basically, had sex, and then it was unprotected sex, and I got freaked out. And
Oh, no, you didn't.
I'm like freaked out now thinking about it, taking myself back there in that moment.
And you laid in bed instead of getting up.
Right. And
Must have been great sex, Jamie.
no. And nothing's ever worth it for like what's to come later. And I didn't like do the same thing. I didn't take care, like, just you fall asleep or whatever. And I ended up getting like a UTI. And
you had no idea what it was.
I'm pretty sure actually I did text my mom. Like it was like I was really there, feeling it. I had to like ask somebody, like at least to get me some type of prescription or something. And that was kind of the first time I learned, like how easy it is to not only to get one, but how easy it is to prevent one. Right? And any, gynecologist, urologist will tell you, go pee before and after you have sex. It's like the most important thing you can do to just flush out your urinary tract.
I always find it a little hard, the whole before. Like to force yourself to go pee before.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to go pee before, you go pee before. But definitely, guys, do not forget to pee after.
Right. Don't just fall asleep.
So then you ended up, I like this story. Mm-hmm. And sorry if I'm getting a little too personal, Jamie. But you told me this story and you told me that you ended up going to the emergency room and they really didn't understand.
What was the problem?
Yeah, you go to an emergency room, they're not equipped.
Yeah, and maybe it's us too, right? Like if you don't understand what's going on,
you don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
So you went to the emergency room and they didn't.
Right, they didn't know how to treat it. They didn't know what it was. They actually didn't give me a urine test, so that would have kind of solved everything. But that's the thing, and that goes hand in hand with kind of like why we're sharing this information. You have to really be aware and listen to the signals that your body is sending you. Because even going to somewhere, you feel safe going to an emergency room, those are not gynecologists. They're not specialists in like the female reproductive system.
If you are a woman and you are feeling constant cramps and you do not have your period and you are feeling constant cramps for maybe weeks at end, you have to go and check yourself out. I'll give you guys another example with me. I had the most horrible cramps that I couldn't even sleep at night. And I knew something was wrong with me. I go get checked out. I get a PAPS done. And my PAPS comes out, it comes out, what is it that they call it when it's like a bad
positive.
It's not negative.
I don't know.
It's an abnormal PAPS.
Abnormal.
Yeah, it's an abnormal PAPS. So I got all these tests done, and I ended up having precancer cells. If I wouldn't have taken the initiative to go stop whatever I was doing, because sometimes we think, oh, I'm so busy with this, I'm so busy with that, and we don't actually take the time to go and get checked out. If I wouldn't have taken the time to have done that, guys, I probably wouldn't be here right now. Mm-hmm. That is just the truth, because I was a bit away from it turning into cancer. So, not trying to scare any of our listeners.
And we'll probably take time, in the series to delve in deeper to some of these issues and ways that you can be preventative. But we did really want to touch on how important it is to just pay attention to your body.
As a woman, it's so important,
right?
To take care of your body, not just on the outside, but also what's going on the inside.
And like Martha said, like if you don't have, the means to have, a gynecologist who's kind of your go-to, it's amazing how the resources that are out there today, like Planned Parenthood.
Unfortunately, Planned Parenthood is experiencing a battle right now.
Yeah.
And, but I hope that shows like this can help people understand the importance of programs like such. So, but yeah, guys, that has been some of our experiences.
Right. And write us in. Let us
in about yours so we can cover them on the next podcast.
All right. So to transition something a little more upbeat, every episode we're going to be leaving you with a little self-empowerment booster, a tip that we use in our personal lives. They'll be simple and straightforward, like something you can do right away that just gives you that like automatic feeling of self-empowerment. And sometimes they'll sound a little silly too, but they're actually things we do in our everyday lives.
What's yours, Jamie?
My personal booster is wearing a blazer. I don't know what it is, but wearing a blazer.
Because you're a lawyer, Jamie. Actually, Jamie's the coolest lawyer.
What am I wearing right now?
Yeah, Jamie's the coolest lawyer ever, guys. Whenever I go to her office to visit her for whatever reason, she's like wearing like a Guns N' Roses t-shirt and like super rock and roll. So I get it.
Right, I'm not in a blazer today, guys.
The day that she decides to wear a blazer, she's feeling powerful.
Oh yeah, it means I'm about to
kill that meeting.
The best deal. I'm about to be like Superwoman. So for me, it makes me feel powerful and
it makes me feel very chic.
Right. It does that. I mean, it's just like something you can throw on at the end of your outfit. Obviously, it's a wardrobe essential. We know these things, but it also just gives us.
Yeah, especially if you wear something see-through inside.
So that's my little booster tip for you guys this episode.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Fourth Wave. Remember to try this at home. Take a whole night to yourself and just be gentle with yourself. Let us know if you tried it and if it worked for you.
And get in touch with us. Mirtha's on Instagram at Mirtha Michelle, and I'm at Jamie_Barada. And our email address is info@theivywave.com. Send us your comments and feedback. Well, until next time, I'm Jamie Barada.
And I'm Mirtha Michelle. And guys, remember that I have my books available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I have my latest book, Letters to Women Like Me, which I think you guys will love.
Definitely.
Thoroughly enjoy.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.